recording. Hi there, Malika. How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm doing well a little bit. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you. Did you have an okay week?
I did.
All right. So today I kind of want to focus on family dynamics and I want to explore kind of your upbringing. Tell me about what life was like for you as a little girl, like with you and your parents and maybe any siblings that you had.
I didn't grow up with any of both of my parents, I should say. I unfortunately just grew up with a single mom. And that's okay for many. However, my single mom, you know, she was in and out of jail a lot because she was a substance use abuser. She was a drug abuser, and that really just affected me. In my adolescence, in my growing up, and even in my adulthood, at times, as I see today. And my dad, I saw him not consistently, but here and there throughout my childhood. He wasn't supportive financially or anything like that. So that his brothers, he and his brothers, they fought a lot. They were, involved in physical altercations with one another, which also was like why my mom, you know, I don't know, she just had a thing of not bringing me over so much like I used to when I was like, between really 2 and like 4 years old or 5 years old. And so I started seeing him less and less, because that part was just like what are y'all doing over there? And so it was just very like, this is not normal. And that affected me in my choosing of men as I tried to choose in relationships. I tried to choose, you know, um, better men, I guess. And it has just been a whirlwind.
I can understand. Yeah. I mean, sometimes we grow up seeing families that may not be as functional as they should be, and that becomes normal to us as children. So once we get
Yes.
into adolescence and adulthood, it is hard to discern what it should be and what shouldn't be, right?
Correct. Yes, yes.
So you told me that that kind of did affect you in your adolescence. Tell me a little bit briefly about how was that for you as an adolescent, as a younger Malika? Uh,
Well, I when my mom would go, to jail and everything, then I would stay with my maternal grandparents and sometimes my paternal grandmother. And just going back and forth, and I guess you can call it like the instability and the movement, to go back and forth with, how some things feel not right, right? You have a gut feeling that this is not right, it's not normal. So that affected me in my adolescence because I would struggle in school, just with the stability, and like emotional regulation and trying to keep up with my classmates and everything.
okay, so and tell me a little bit about how you think that's impacting you today as a present Malika.
I think today in my present state, um, I am, I think I still try to make the best decisions. Some of those decisions I reflect back on and look, back at in hindsight, I'm like, no, as far as like, relationships, and also making the just the decisions now that I have a child, making the good decisions for him. And it's just I'm trying to be stable, right? But when you've been unstable for so long, then it's just hard to get your feet wet and then just get it like, stamped in the ground.
Right. I hear you, and that's why we're here, and that's why you're taking the steps to do the work. And
Yes.
uh, our time is coming to a close. I know these are short sessions, but I think we did great work today. We are part of you, part of what you're saying. It sounds like you want to be able to uh, be aware of the kind of decisions you make as a parent and kind of reflect
Right.
on you kind of, yeah, you want to be aware of them and you want to reflect on maybe where those behaviors came. And that was kind of our focus for today's session, was to kind of think about where did these behaviors come from, and what do I want to give my son to walk away with, and what do I not want him to walk away with, right?
Yes, yes. Very
So
much so.
I think moving forward, our next session, we can start to explore kind of those things that you want to maybe change or avoid or just work on. So,
Okay. Okay.
so does that sound good to you?
Yes, it does.
All right, great. Well, I'll see you next week, Malika. Have a great
All
week.
right. Thank you, and you as well. Hello, James. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you, Malika.
It's good to see you too, James. Okay, I see that you have scheduled a session today. Well, we scheduled a session today, and what brings you in to therapy today?
Well, honestly, I'm having a little issue with becoming a parent. I have a 20-month-old, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that there were some things that I didn't learn from my parents that maybe I should have, and I'm here to work on that a little bit.
Okay, so from what I hear you say is that you're a new parent. Congratulations on that. It's an exciting feeling and can be an exciting feeling, but it also can be overwhelming. But you also want to work on being a great parent because some things from what I heard you say from your childhood has occurred. And so let's talk about that part. Tell
Okay.
me about your childhood and anything, that happened that was traumatic for you, about your family and your upbringing.
Okay. So honestly, it seems like I was maybe dealt a little bit of an unfortunate hand to start out with. My uh,
Mm-hmm.
dad was unfortunately an abusive man, and
Mm-hmm.
when my mother was pregnant with me,
Mm-hmm.
he abused her physically, and then when I was born, I believe that he was in prison by the time I was 2 or 3 years old, so I don't have much memories. I do have a few memories of him, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and a few of the memories that I have of him were him being in physical altercations with other men or other females, sometimes with other new girlfriends that he'd bring me around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when my dad went away, my mother was alone, and my great grandparents kind of picked up some slack, and I was over there probably 40 to 50% of the time. I was at my grandparents' house, and
Mm-hmm.
they supported me financially, and um, took me to all my sporting events, and were at every school event, and uh, but also at the same time, as great as they were very old-fashioned. Um,
Mm-hmm.
both born in 1939, so uh, just
Okay.
just my grandpa was a rough and tough kind of guy, uh, and then later down the road, my mom had some substance abuse issues, and on my 16th birthday, she got a DUI, and
Mm-hmm.
um, 2 months later, she got another DUI. So she's now luckily in recovery, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, now that I'm becoming an adult myself and being thrown into parenthood, I'm realizing that there's some things that I need to work through.
Okay, and so when you were just talking about being raised by your grandparents, and then sometimes your great grandparents would help out, was that your maternal side?
Yes, it was my mother's. So it was my great grandparents. So it was my mother's grandparents.
Okay, okay, okay. And they were the ones that were very old fashioned?
Yes, yes, very
Okay,
traditional.
okay, all righty. And so looking into that part, how would you describe your, well, of course you just, you haven't been a parent that long because your baby's just 20 months, but how would you currently describe your parenting style? Is it traditional, non-traditional, or how would you
It's
say
v-
that?
it's very it's not traditional, I wouldn't say.
Mm-hmm.
In contrast to the way I was raised. Um, and I guess that's part of the reason I'm here is to try to work on that. But I I know that I have a lot more patience with my child than I was given. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
But I would say like the kind of culture that I grew up in was uh do it my way and do it my way right now. So
Mm-hmm. And
I
that's
try.
not how.
That's not how I am, and but some days that's how I want to be. And I think that like
Uh-huh.
some days I catch myself kind of getting in that headspace and I'm like, this is not who I would like to be as a parent. So I'm trying to kind of catch myself in those times.
Okay, okay. So what I see that you are cognizant of your upbringing. You're cognizant of the way that you were raised. You did see some negativity in your life amongst your dad and your mom, unfortunately, and as well as I did in growing up. So we definitely can connect on that part. And but you want to be a better parent, correct?
Always.
Yes, and some things that you experienced or how your great grandparents were, you kind of think to be that way, but you definitely don't want to, you know, raise your 20-month old as he or she gets, older that way, correct?
Right, right.
Okay. So what we're going to do in the future sessions is we will talk about like some parenting styles and modalities. We will talk about what you want to be, and we will discuss the positive parenting, right? Positive reinforcement and things like that as your child gets older. Of course, 20 months old is just so adorable right now. So we're going to dive into that, do the next sessions. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Thank you,
Yes,
Malika.
and yes, yes, sir. And I will provide you with some helpful tools and some best practices.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming in today's session. I know that it was very brief, but thank you so much, James, for coming in.
All right. You have a good week.
All right. You too.